I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We just had moved by Councilmember, seconded by Councilmember Allen to approve the agenda as written by this. Any discussion? I'll put a thumbs up. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Back. Yeah.
You
There. Go. Keep them. Can you read that?
If I'm gonna.
Hands down. Leon.
negligent. Agreements between the city of Ellsworth and Ellsworth District Number 1 and Fire District Number 2.
Yes. Back in 1986, the city entered an agreement with both fire districts. Of course, the District 1 is basically Ellsworth Township. And at that point in time, they offered a reimbursement to the city. There was some equipment that was given to the city. And the city had to keep the agreement so long, not they had to pay money back. And then the same for about $10,000 a year or 5 mills, whatever is less. 5 mills a day is $33,000 of revenue, so you can see how to gap that. And I'm assuming back in those days, it was probably fairly close. Just depends on what the valuations were at that time. The other 5, there's 4, and I think now 5 districts that are in District Number 5 township or District 2. Each township pays $2,500 a piece, so $12,500. And again, probably when that agreement was made, those were not bad fees. I'm not gonna argue that at all, don't know for sure, but see the bad fees. You know, that contract was a year to year, and you can get out with 90 days notice. Nobody ever gave notice, so now we're in the 40th year of our contract at the same rate as 1987 when it first started. Yeah, when it first started. So we're in the 40th year of it. Caused no problem. You've all heard from the chief and Councilmember Allen about the need for upgrading equipment and protective gear and everything else. So meanwhile, the districts haven't been paying anymore. And the city has been putting on the burden of the taxpayers of the community. Because we basically levy about taking out the reimbursement we get from the districts. And again, I can see we can push our expenditures up because we have more stuff that we need to buy. But we're probably at 8-9 mills here in the city for the fire department. They're all paying basically equal to 1 mill bars. I mean, give or take 22.5, and a mill here is about 20,000. So, you know, we're pretty close. It's a problem. You need to get the conversation going. And we need to do this now because if some changes are made or they have to look for other alternatives, they have to do it this summer because they have to do their budgets. This is the best year to do it because future legislation could cause them problems tax dollars wise and raising mill levies that they're gonna have to deal with, or they won't be able to pay us. And that's gonna be another problem for them. So now's a good time. I did put a suggested motion at the bottom that we do it today. I'm not sure if you have to do it today, saying, you know, maybe we send those to first start the process, but I do believe at some point in time, you'll have to terminate them to get a new agreement all done, and it's a possibility. And again, any agreement, if you're gonna do an agreement from here on out, you wanna do an agreement with escalation clauses in there. I mean, a lot of cities are starting to go, even some of the utility rates, with automatic escalation every year. I've not done too many of those. I did one on trash in one city I was in, and we actually sold water to a rural water district I was at. And it had our city, we sold to their city, neighboring city, and it had an automatic escalator in there because that way, because the problem is we forget about these things. The problem is we forget 40 years, what you've done is you've lessened your revenue and you've raised the cost of running the fire department solely on the back of the taxpayers inside the city. So you got that fairness issue there. Now, I know when this happens, and I've been through what he's putting in the EMS thing in the community. Well, you don't like us no more, and you don't want to take care of us, and we're in your city too. I get all that, and you're gonna hear that. But I also, every decision I make as administrator manager, I have to look for the taxpayers inside the city. And like I said, when we look at our budget right now, we have, and I would argue our budget is not large enough to do the things that we gotta do. You know, we have to, if we raise these rates, but lower the city's taxes, maybe a little bit, but not much. We gotta get a program to get replacement. When we talk about budget getting replaced every, 10 years? Or other stuff replaced every 10 years. And again, as I mentioned one meeting this winter, when you got volunteer firemen that we pay no stipend to, we as a community owe them. I mean, it's an obligation. I think it's a financial obligation, but it's also maybe a moral and civil obligation to make sure that they have equipment that they can, that when their family sent them out to fires, there's a better chance of them coming back home than not. I mean, that's just what it boils down to. I hate to always boil down, but that's what it boils down to. What the magic formula is, I don't know. That's why you have to have negotiations, and of course, you know, is it gonna be, you know, there may be more ways to approach it. You can do a smaller amount, initial increase with some maybe larger escalators over the next few years. I mean, there's all a possibility. I mean, there's always a possibility out there, but I think you have to start the ball, and I always say, even though I'm interim, one of my jobs is to find those areas and tell you about it. Because whoever replaces you have a place, it's gonna be difficult for them to say, I mean, I can say this, I've been around forever, but it's to say, here, you gotta start doing this right away and take that out there. That's one of the jobs that I always feel as the interim I need to do to at least make you aware of those issues. So that's why I brought it up. And of course, everybody downstairs believes we should have done this years ago, and, you know, I have people say, no, you can't do it because it's gonna cause discontent in those districts. I get it. But I'm not sure, you know, I have no idea what other districts in this county are getting in contributions from districts beside them and how that all works. It's just that we gotta do something.
Ralph, do you have anything else to add to that?
So, I mean, he's already addressed that. It's basically those revenues are the same that we've now hit. The 40th anniversary mark was the same time when we originally got the new station in the new area, when this stuff was consolidating. So obviously, everybody recognizes that, well, if that's what it cost 40 years ago, it's certainly gone up. I did go to a meeting of the board. I was invited to go to the one representing Ellsworth Township here several months ago. And they keenly understand that this is out of sync. I know that one of the things in the years past that was always brought up is like, well, you know, if we start raising the rate, then those districts are gonna say, well, we can go to one of the adjoining fire districts and they'll do it for that money and less or whatnot, and then IE will end up having to cover it anyhow. No pun intended at the other departments on that. But we do have the largest capability. We do have the largest amount in Ellsworth County, and I support and want to work with the other departments. We have a great relationship. And so I don't want to get into this about fighting over or bidding for districts to go, but we do bring to the table an incredible ISO rating that we have in the rule of a 5.3. And then out beyond that, you know, once you hit so many miles out, you get nailed if you're out past 10 miles. But we have challenged the rural haul water, and so we have about as good a rating as you're going to get in the rural. If they go elsewhere, they're not going to have that. Yes, we still honor our mutual aid contracts, but I think it's just a realization. And I think honestly, people look at that and go, I realize, no, I don't want to pay more, but if I paid the same thing for 40 years, our cost of going out and responding in just fuel and wear and tear is substantially more. So I have not met with any of the other ones. I think a lot of this conversation is just to kind of get this ball rolling. You know, we're talking about budgeting stuff that's, you know, into 26, maybe even into 27.
Oh, 27, but
Not 27.
we're making 27 budget here
Yeah.
in 4 months.
So,
Mr. Dingle, could I say, I make a motion to begin negotiations to develop new, contracts and move to do the termination?
You know, and again, if you wanna wait on the termination, I get it, and me and the city attorney had that discussion on email last week, and, you know, do we give them a chance for say, hey, we have to look at this and maybe start some dialogue ahead of time, because
yeah, I know.
I get it if you say we're terminating you, even though we have the ability, it's all in the contract.
That seems more collaborative to me
Yeah,
than
I agree with you.
most punitive,
Yeah,
and we don't want to punish them, right? But
I think just getting our conversation going.
but no, by the middle of May, if we ain't moving them, I think at that point in time, you're gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
But that's a have to.
so could we kind of give Ralph
Yeah,
our
okay.
blessing to start this
Oh,
conversation?
yeah, and I can work with them too, we can
Yeah.
talk, just the numbers and figures and everything else. I mean, it's a shocker, because it just hasn't been changed. You know, and this is the first city I've been at where you had agreements with townships or other cities in your vicinity. And you let them go from year to year to year, and then all of a sudden you're way behind, so now you wanna kick them up, and then they get offended because. As you've heard me say more than once, the fairest tax is the one you pay and the one I don't. And that's the same case here. I mean, one city I worked in a few years ago, we sold water to a rural water district. At a cheap rate, and they never escalated up as other costs came into the city. City got behind, and it was a large water, they had 1,000-meter water district. And it got nasty, and then they still let it go, so 15 years later, and I'm not, yes, 16 years later now, they're still debating that same battle yet, but, and the city ratepayers are paying for it and not the rural area. You gotta find balance.
That's what people need to know is that the city's been paying this 40-year tab that they've kept it.
And if
ingrained.
you watch the reports
You
that
know?
you receive from chief every month, look at where the runs are. And again,
Yeah, they're not even.
I know you have 2 townships that have the interstate in there. And they're gonna have those costs. And Chief and I have talked about, can we bill those trucking companies? Well, I'm glad I didn't. We never done it because according to this contract, I can't. Because maybe they could, maybe that's something they can look at more because it says I can't bill for services contracts. Which I never noticed till the other day when I was reading those contracts real close. So I'm glad we didn't move forward. And some cities do bill insurance companies, you know, on the EMS side, because we don't have EMS, you get billed for EMS. Now there's always reimbursed everything else. And you never want to lull yourself thinking that we'll base the fee on the number of runs we do. It costs X dollars to have 40 pairs of boat gear. If we don't make a fire run this year, it ain't gonna happen. I mean, we all hope that there'll be no fire runs this year. Sorry, take away from your fun, but in a perfect world, we'd have no fire runs this year. But guess what? Our expenses wouldn't go down. Yeah, fuel would be less, a little bit like that, but that gear is 1 year older next year. And you always got to, there's always a cost, and I took about this on water before. There's a basic cost for us to have equipment that's ready to roll now. And so you're funding that a little bit too. And where the runs are gonna be, and I've had other cities where we went to the rural area townships, and they've all had different forms. I'm trying to find some of those now, so. Maybe, I don't know if we need a motion, tonight, if you wanna wait a little bit, and I agree, at least reach out to them first. Just with consensus, I think we have, that the chief and I move forward, at least make contact with them. And I think we need to tell them that if we don't get moving by May, we're gonna force the council to terminate the contract.
Yeah.
At the end of the.
Give it 90-day.
We'll forget about it, it'll be another 40 years.
I would,
We need to get it done.
I'm more than willing to have those conversations and work with the administrator on that, which I think is good. It's just part of that needs to go on. A little bit of history, just to give you maybe a little bit better understanding that I see that you guys are unaware of, is well, I don't know if we're unique, but I think we have a very good system. I've seen a lot of them. So what we have is the fire department is housed and funded by the city, and then we've contracted with these others. We understand that. What happens in a lot of places is they have a city fire department and a county fire department. Those are a mess. Quite frankly, those are a mess. And I'm not belittling them. I'm just looking at, because then they try to share a house, and then they have overlapping. Sometimes they have the same chief, sometimes they have different chiefs, sometimes they have the same staff, and they have, it's. So this system that was originally come up with, I think has been really, really good. So the city, in this case, the city houses the equipment, has the equipment and owns it, and we contract out and we go and take care of that. And the flow of that, as I go around with other departments and training and have other conversations, is a lot, I'm gonna say, easier. To where I have a budget I work with, I kind of, we know what we're doing, but then we're looking at this now, just realizing it costs to operate. We need to have those conversations. Everybody looks at that and goes, we need to. So that's, I will try to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions? All makes sense, but I appreciate you starting the conversation before us just sending letters and saying we're terminating things. Like,
Maybe just and you want to read the rest and then I get what the commissioner saying here, council members here saying,
We're gonna
maybe
vote on something,
maybe a motion
saying
to,
we're gonna do something.
maybe a motion to negotiate
That's what I,
and to report back to the
that's what I-
city commission by May 15th.
I
City council, excuse me,
So to negotiate, not
can
terminate.
negotiate, that's
like,
what I was
make
saying.
a report to the city council at the first meeting in May.
Okay.
Maybe that's a motion that you wanna have, and that way we memorialize what you want to do, and do something there, that way it's on the radar that.
Yes.
First of May, she's gonna have it on the calendar that says, we're talking about fire that night. And at that point in time, you can move forward with more discussion. That way doesn't get lost, I agree with you.
Yeah,
So, Mr. Dingle, I make a motion that we begin.
Mayor.
Madam Mayor, please, thank you.
Yes.
I'm excited. Eric, move.
Can you say your motion again, please?
Madam Mayor, I would like make a motion to begin negotiations to develop new contracts. By
And to report back to the council
and report back to the council
by the first meeting in May.
by the first meeting in May.
I'll second that.
Okay, it has been moved by Councilmember Moon, seconded by Councilmember Renard to begin negotiations to develop new contracts with Ellsworth District Number 1 and Fire District Number 2, and to report back by May 1, is that what we said, or first meeting in May? Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Thank
Thanks,
you, Rob.
Ralph.
Thanks.
Yes, it does, that'll be May 11th.
By May 11th, was that you?
I didn't tell.
Okay, next and last item on new business is sewer line extension request.
Mayor and council member, this, please, this here, this is maybe more discussion items, to see how we want to try to proceed. Last week, I was asked by Kepke with City Plumbing, no,
Kim,
Kepke City Plumbing, to meet with Micro Industries. With Micro Industries is in the city limits, and the city sells them water. And the water goes along the east side of I-14, of course, they're on the west side. They, way back when they started, they put in a septic system, because we didn't have sewer out there. Their septic system was failing. And they're looking at other options, one includes bringing the sewage to the town. Of course, you could say, bring over the line, the first thing was the line come to the city, and there it is. However, you know, I think you also gotta keep in mind it's the industry that employs people. And so you got those values, and of course, they're now back on the tax rolls fully because the IRBs are paid off. If that's something the city wants to do. The other option, of course, is one of them, the easiest route today would be to build a line in the highway right of way. There's about 7 foot we can work in there, and build a line and come into town and bring it over there behind the school district office, I believe. Yeah, high school, yeah, K-Dot, yeah, over there, and hook into there. The downside with that is, and that's a good thing probably, is that there's still talk out there about K-14 expanding with. So if they ever do that, they're gonna have to take right away. When there is city utilities inside of a right of way, under state code, if you're a city of population more than 2,500, you pay it off. Under 2,500, they pay it. Well, we're over it. So if we go outside the right of way, a little bit to the west, and have to buy a little ground, from the people out there, soak ups and maybe, and of course, we're on problems with, FICO. If we would buy that land, own the easement outside of theirs, and then they ever want to buy our easement away from us, they have to cost some moving. So some things we need to think about. Today I met, and Troy came in and talked to me about this whole thing, the project. Maybe one of the better options if we were gonna get, and again, we gotta get some costs together, and I can have Mr. Cox come to me as well. Is to go west of Myco on the airport ground and then come in straight, and then you can basically go straight down the line, to hit our lift station there. So it may be a better route. Again, I just talked Thursday morning, so we're still putting a lot together yet, but want to bring it to you. Bottom line, it's probably gonna be an $80,000 to $100,000 project. And they'll pay part of it, and again, you know, we have to talk about that, you wanna do it. The good part about it, if we ever had shoreline out there, if you ever wanna develop other land in that area, that's one step out of the way. And, you know, Myco, I mean, I'm not, you know them better than I do, but I think they're good. I was impressed last summer, I got by at their 30th anniversary thing, and every food they bought, it was the neatest buffet I ever been to, because they had a buffet of food bought down. From Pizza Hut to grocery store to, they were using local vendors, and I thought that's a good thing there, so, I'll move forward and get some more numbers together. I will, and maybe I'll have Mr. Cox come to the next meeting. And we can talk forward, but they got a problem now, they gotta do something, and again, what's the best thing to do? Not only for their long term, but maybe for future growth long term, and future growth is always tough to think about, I get it, because you're rolling the dice just a bit. But unless you wanna say, heck no, do it yourself, and we don't worry about you, which I don't think is a good move. At least we need to move to the next stage.
Yeah.
If you're okay with it all.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
sounds good.
So any feedback from anybody?
Really, no. Get some more info.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
All right, that's it for new business, correct? Okay, all right, department heads, city inspector,
I don't have anything tonight.
thank you, Delvin. Fire chief, anything more about?
Nothing more, unless any questions.
Got a fundraiser coming up, right?
We do have a pancake feed the 7th of March. And flyers and the raffle and all that stuff that is being put out in public notices and whatnot, so would appreciate it if people come and support us.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, police chief,
We're looking at one more new hire. Once we get back, is C-post qualifiers, then we should be fully staffed.
awesome, thank you.
Well, once we get once we put out a additional offer, then we should be fully staffed.
Great, thank you. No running. Street foreman, Troy's not here. Okay, water and sewer.
Just, like he said, we could, that'd be a good idea to have that sewer over there, 'cause we could use it. I don't know, does the airport have sewer?
So they have septic
Yeah,
or ladders or something, yeah.
so if some leaks in the airport would ever have to put a line in, they could basically tie into that too. That might be, something to look at.
Great, thanks for that feedback. Okay, county attorney, Mr. Casper. Or, excuse me, city attorney, okay. Our offices are right next to each other. Nothing, is that what I said? Okay, perfect. City clerk. Interim city administrator.
Yes, I do have something. Thank you for it. Delvin forgot to mention, or Louise didn't mention, tomorrow night is the kickoff meeting for the CDBG housing and demolition project. 6 o'clock at the Recreation Center.
Yeah, meeting room.
Okay, Keegan will be there from North Central, Keegan Bailey, will be there from North Central to explain the program. Hopefully people are there. I think our goal is we want to get rid of all the money. We got $300,000, give or take, staring at us, so let's get it used in the community, and I know that people are gonna argue, well, they can't do it in the floodplain, and that ain't, that's their rules, and when you get a grant, you play by their rules, and that's just the way it is, and can't change that, and so don't have that to deal with. Been following legislation, a lot on taxes. House Bill 2745, got amended out, I think I mentioned to you in the notes last week. Got amended, 3 amendments that I still hate House Bill 2745 on the taxes, but the 3 amendments make sense. And I think we're supporting it. It's just should be a House vote tomorrow, we think. I'll be watching online on that. You know, there's some Senate bills too. Everyone wants to cut property tax, and I get all that. How are you gonna fund the government? That's what's the question. There's a Senate bill to get rid of property taxes. And instead, they want to have surcharges for purchasing stuff. That's just crazy. I mean, I think that's the craziest thing because, you know, I mean, people that have a nice home pay taxes and they know that, but hopefully they can afford those houses. People that have lesser homes, you raise taxes and you have to, you know, everything based on, if you threw property tax away and made them, every time they go to the grocery store, it'd be an extra $5. I think that's, I don't know anything good about the bill, but watching those bills, they're gonna change the zillion times. And will something ever get accomplished? I don't know, but you also gotta realize there's 125 states within enough for election this year. A few senators are running for state offices, so. I mean, it's just one of those political things you have to watch. House Bill 2452, which is the bill on moving the city elections and school board elections to even number years to line them up with everything else. Of course, the league and I oppose that because now you would move, when city elections were held as the school board election, we were all talking about local issues, just local. If you put them in the same year as a presidential or gubernatorial, you're now lost. And we worry about other issues and, you know, it's been tried and true for years and years and years. And of course, some of us remember city elections and school elections being held in April. And by 2016, I think they got moved to the fall. And, you know, and again, there's always talk about making city council members, school board members, Republicans and Democrats. And as I always say, there is no Democrat or Republican way to fix a pothole or manage a dog park or whatever the case may be. It's local issues. That's what you deal with. And it always gets bipartisan. As far as the dog park, I think a great idea. That's in my career. It would help if you find a private partner. For the city to go out and pay the cost, that's the cost that you have to weigh in what else you're gonna cut. Some of the success I have seen is find a private partner, be it a foundation or another group or something that to maybe bear some of those costs or some fundraisers out there. Nothing wrong with dog parks. They're great to have, and I agree with the tourism and everything else, but there is a cost involved and move forward. KB or Cole Valley's getting submitted for the paper for the crosswalk at the tennis courts. So will be on the queue at least, and that's gonna get submitted. And then hopefully we get moved to the next step and then we'll do design come May. We are adding to the cost, the lighting as well, because if we can get, I think it's 80% cost share. Let's make the project a little bigger and maybe get some of that. I think this project has a great chance of getting a grant for local projects because alternative transportation and for youth safety. So I think I'm hopeful in this one. We getting more stuff from you on get the process started to hire a new city administrator. Send you some samples out last week, just keep thinking. I'll send some more stuff this week to you and get to moving forward with that a little bit because my days are about over.
Mr. Dinker, what about the cats, the grants for the?
I plan that we submitted by the end of March or end of March to do March 28th, I believe.
Yeah.
And we'll bring it to the council for approval, one of the 2 meetings in March. That's all I got, I think.
Okay, thank you for your list.
Okay.
All right, let's move to city council. Councilmember Renard. Council President Hanson.
No.
Councilmember Bishop. Councilmember Moon.
Well, Madam Mayor, I'm still having thoughts and feelings about how others might be thinking about how we voted on the zoning. I just honestly believe that each person represented here invested a lot of thought in making that decision. It wasn't by a fluke. It wasn't just something that was done without an invested amount of thinking. So I'm just hoping folks aren't, they may be angry or frustrated initially. I'm just hoping folks will see the ability to work through that and bring that community, that addition, into cohesion. It wasn't an easy decision. That's all I have.
Okay, Councilmember Allen. All right, and I just have a few things. Okay, I was asked if we could add some signage on Third Street, like a block before, that says like road closure ahead. That some people are very surprised when they come right up in and are like, oh, well, wasn't expecting that.
That's great.
And I think that would be on like both sides. And it's been a while since I reminded people to pick up their dog poop, but I would be a big fan of yours if you did that. And then I was also asked if there was a chance we could put some dog poop bags at Creesick Park. I think there's some up by the hill, at the top of the hill, on like, what is that, Old 40? But then maybe like on 14, because I think there's another bag inside. I don't pay much attention when I walk because I don't have a dog, but if there was another one of those kind of dispensers laying around that we could put up, that would be really helpful. Okay, and I think that's it. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Anybody?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Well, second.
It's been moved by Council President Hanson, seconded by Councilmember Allen to adjourn tonight's meeting at 6:39. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.
That's maybe Bob.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
So Matt Adams, and I will actually.
You can't give up.
You can have one team and make sure that you can be to that.
That's Peterson.
Peterson. These are announced, will be on the next time. Now it's a time in life that about, trying to cut eyes.